Hello and welcome back to the Finding Your Feet podcast, a podcast show dedicated to helping you get closer to your true authentic self by helping you find your feet in life. Welcome back.
Welcome back to the show, everyone. Hope you've missed us in our 2-week absence. We've been having a nice little break. We've been working really, really hard on building our new podcast studio. So if you follow us on Instagram at Find Your Feet Podcast, then you will have been keeping up to date with us on there. But if you don't follow us, make sure you do come and join our community on there, because you can see how bougie we have turned our new office and studio space into. It looks unreal. So come over to our Instagram for the interior design aesthetic goals.
Yeah, we got there eventually. It really did take some time, all that painting, layers and layers of paint, but we got there.
Yeah, so that's what we've been doing in our 2 weeks off, but we're really happy to be back and recording and talking to you guys. We're back again with new episodes every single Wednesday. And today we are talking all about the recent news of Molly Mae becoming the creative director of Pretty Little Thing for Europe and the UK at the ripe old age of 22. And we're just going to have a conversation a little bit about that, and also just about careers in general, especially women and their careers, and your career and figuring out your career path and new opportunities and everything is such a huge part of finding your feet in life. So we're going to talk about that today. But before we get into the chat, we're just going to read out the review of the week, because we've got an amazing new review from Grace Destiny Ellis. I hope I've said that right. Inspirational, insightful, and current. All I can say is thank you. Thank you for being consistently inspirational, insightful, lifting my mood, making me laugh, and for helping me slow down, be mindful, and take a breath. It's going to be okay. I learn something new every podcast I listen to, whether it's something I'm interested to try or something new I've learned about myself. The podcast itself is like my therapy. I find it so engaging, relatable, and feel validated by the girls for how I feel through every topic they discuss. They provide new ways of helping me combat my inner critic. Abby and Grace, you are absolute powerhouses. Thank you for all the hard work you put in to make this podcast possible, because you inspire me every time I listen.
That is just the loveliest review I have heard in a very long time. Thank you so much, Grace.
Yes, and if you want to be featured in Review of the Week next week, all you need to do is leave us some feedback on Apple Podcasts, and we will read yours out at the beginning of the next show.
Yeah, definitely come and let us know your thoughts on the show. We love hearing your feedback.
So if you have seen in the recent news in the UK, Molly Mae, who is one of the biggest fashion influencers in the UK, she's got 6 million followers on Instagram, a really big YouTube channel as well. She has been appointed the creative director for the UK and for Europe for the fast fashion brand Pretty Little Thing, and she is only 22 years old. So her getting this role has sparked off a lot of conversation from many different angles, about some people a bit jealous, some people annoyed that this is happening, but we are going to give you an inspiring, positive spin on it, because I actually think it's such a positive thing, and we understand why certain people are feeling a bit funny about it, which we're going to go in and talk about. But I just think that she really represents the new world that we're in, and is really, really inspiring for anyone looking to look up to, for that wants to pursue a career in any industry. Just showing how when you really do bet on yourself, maybe create your own platform, do things your own way, step outside the box, the kind of opportunities that can come your way that typically people would say were impossible and that you just couldn't do. And she just shows that despite it all, you can literally achieve your wildest dreams before the age you even think you might end up doing it.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like so many people have an opinion on this, because obviously it's like a hot topic. You would have seen it all over Instagram. But I was just shocked, to be honest, at the amount of bitterness and jealousy, and
there was a lot of jealousy going about. A lot of hate.
Obviously, like you've just said, there's different points to it. It's kind of understanding why some people may be annoyed. But yeah, as a whole, I literally couldn't believe the bitterness that came out of it. And it just highlights how we can really almost turn against women sometimes in a way.
Yeah.
Because I really feel like there was a huge backlash. But yeah, obviously one of the things that people getting quite annoyed at was the fact that she doesn't have a degree in kind of like design, creative direction, which I understand is a little bit bad because obviously I don't know if you guys know, I did a fashion design course for 3 years. So I did notice like my kind of peers, my people that did that kind of getting annoyed and frustrated. But like when I literally heard this news, I did not think that. Like I didn't. Like I understand where that annoyance is coming from. But I think if anything, we should be more inspired that she's done it a different way and that she's thought outside the box. And I think just because you haven't done it the conventional way of getting a degree, it doesn't mean you've had like less hard work, less kind of like bravery. I feel like to actually start something new and to do your own thing and to be like a blogger and to push yourself out of your comfort zone, that doesn't mean that's any less work than a degree. It's just a completely different way to do it.
Yeah, I think what will be really interesting about this conversation that we're going to be able to have is that both me and Abby have come from a fashion background. Like I went to the same school as like fashion school as Molly Mae, and we weren't in the same year group, but we went to the same place to study. And prior to full-time podcasting, I was a fashion buyer for a high street retailer for 4 years. You studied design for 3 years. So we both have got it like from different angles. So I understand why a lot of people were kind of like ruffled by this announcement, because typically to get a position of like a director position in a company, you have to have quite a lot of experience and perhaps worked your way up within that company, but definitely have some sort of like experience in the business that you're going into. She obviously is in a very unique situation where she's 22 years old and her main job is, influencing, and she's not actually in like the day-to-day running of a fashion head office, which does, to like get your head around what goes on in a fashion head office, it is just based on like experience, and you just got to be in it to understand it and learn it. It's not like, even you can study things at school, but nothing compares to the experience that you get on the job when it comes to the fashion industry. Mm-hmm. So I get why people were kind of annoyed about it. But I think that she represents this new world of where we have the internet now, and with that comes creating opportunities for yourself that didn't exist before. I think what she shows is how you don't have to just go through the typical career path that like our parents had to go through and other generations had to go through. We're in a different generation now, and you can, think outside the box. And that's like what she's done. She's done really well. Like she came out of that the show Love Island, and typically some of the Love Island influencers have quite a short-lived career post that show, depending on what moves they make. Like a lot of people obviously do go into different things, and they do create quite a long-term career for themselves, but some people obviously struggle and that doesn't happen. She's done really well to like brand herself outside of that show as this like leading influencer in the UK. I'd say she's the number one fashion influencer in the UK for sure. And and obviously she's done that and collaborated with Pretty Little Thing, and the business relationship that they've had of her doing her own like clothing collections with them and being on the shoots and having that creative input has worked so well. She is the Pretty Little Thing customer, and when you're in business, like that's the kind of thing that you want to have, the people that are on the inside that are, making the clothes, designing the clothes, like directing the brand and where it's going to. They need to have a really clear understanding of what the customer is, and she is the customer, and all of her followers are Pretty Little Thing customers as well. So like it's like a bit of a no-brainer really, but she's got herself there through obviously this whole new career of influencing, which, whatever 10 years ago, it didn't exist. So it's a whole new industry in itself. And yeah, I just think that like I get why people were upset, because I have been in a fashion head office where you're working and it's relentless. You work really long days. People always assume that like working in fashion means, oh, you're just stuck in at pretty clothes all the time. And like they really underestimate when actually the fashion industry is filled with driven, focused, hardworking women that are putting in the work every single day and so creative and also so business minded and entrepreneurial, combining those skills together. And that is what makes up the industry. So I understand why people were upset that are actually in the industry, because you will slog and slog and slog to get to those higher positions. However, she has done it in her own way, and you have to hats off to that and look at it for the inspiring nature of that situation that it is, rather than from that place of bitterness and jealousy, because you have no idea where your career is going to go. Like, she just shows that this idea of climbing up the corporate ladder to get to a certain point, and it all being A, B, C, D, E, F, G, every step is the same, just shows that it isn't true anymore. And I think it makes like perfect, like from a marketing point of view, like it makes complete perfect sense why Pretty Little Thing have done what they did. And obviously it's got loads of people talking about it, so from like a PR point of view, very well done job there. But I think that she won't be the first influencer that does this. I think that a lot of like influencers, that because it's this new way of like business, like you are amassing a huge following, a huge audience that are literally a customer to you. They love your styles. Any product that you can bring them that is aligned with them they're gonna want it, and it's gonna work really well. So I would just think like how many like celebrity collaborations, influencer collaborations brands have done over the last few years. I think that this next step will be like bringing them into the brand in this way and giving them, like, if they're obviously like aligned and it works well, giving them, positions. And yeah, Molly's done really well. And just because she's done influencing before that, I think doesn't mean that she can't take on this role as a creative director. Like, she's clearly got an amazing vision.
Yeah, I think it goes back to like everyone just loves to put people in boxes. Like even with influencing, like I'm sure a lot of people were like, oh my gosh, she's got this creative direction role, but she's an influencer. But most of them probably don't even know what she's done in her past. And like before Love Island, she was a YouTuber anyway, wasn't she? She was like a blogger and a YouTuber.
Yeah.
And it's like all that compound interest. Like I always think of compound interest. Like you're putting in the work, all those little steps. Like for Molly Mae to sit there and think, okay, I'm going to start my YouTube channel. I'm going to hold my vision and like share my vision with the world. All those little steps of what have got her to being offered that job. And yeah, it's kind of interesting thinking, like, I wonder how much of a role she will play in it. It might be different to the average person or someone that are trained in that. But like you just said, like, this is like a new world now. And like influencing is quite a new thing.
Yeah.
So I think like as a whole, like you said, I feel like this is you're going to see more of this anyway. And I think we should just be inspired by it, just to think like, not so much how the hell has she got that position when she hasn't trained in that. It's like, well, if she can do that, how can I apply that to my life? Like not even in like a fashion job, like in anything. If she can do that and have the guts to as well, because I bet she had probably thoughts running through her head, like, what are people going to think?
Yeah, and imposter syndrome, and am I capable of
massive
this?
imposter syndrome. Yeah. But to actually have the guts to be like, actually, this is a challenge and I'm going to accept it and I'm going to go for it and I'm ready for it because I'm fashion girl and I have the vision. That's a huge thing as well, I think as well. Like, obviously, Molly Mae has an amazing aesthetic, and that is what has got her there. I think, even though it sounds really harsh, sometimes people can learn all the skills in the world. But if you don't actually have a vision or an aesthetic and you don't work on creating one, you're not going to get anywhere anyway. And she
in a creative industry, yeah,
and she has that vision. So that is what has got her there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really, really feel like we can take inspiration from that and apply it to our lives in any way. So think, don't put yourself in a box.
Yeah, like through school, you're brought up, and it's like you get to study creative subjects like art and stuff like that. But most of the subjects throughout your whole school career is really academic and like quite tick boxy, and creativity doesn't really get nurtured that much, when creativity is actually like the most important thing for all jobs. Like, you need it to like think of problem solving and how are you going to get out of a problem and adapt, as well as like obviously actually like in this case creating clothing and designing and all of that stuff. So creativity is so important, but it's not really something that gets that nurtured within yourself. Obviously, like, she had this all stems from her own creativity, which she over the years has nurtured through blogging and following her passion. And because when she started to upload things on YouTube, I'm sure that she never would have thought that by 22 she'd be the creative director of one of the biggest like fast fashion brands in the world. So that's all stemmed from her doing what she loved, nurturing her creativity, and because you never know where it could lead to. And I think that just shows that everybody else should do that too. Not like obviously everyone go and become like and try and become an influencer and whatever, because you might not want to do that, but nurture your own creativity, because you actually never know where that creative skill might come into your own work and your own job that you've got already, or a new job, and how that can really help you. This podcast is brought to you by BetterHelp. Now, BetterHelp are a professional, secure online counselling service that will set you up with a therapist in just 48 hours.
They're an incredible company who are available worldwide. They have a huge range of expertise. So whatever you feel like you need therapy and support for, they will find the right therapist for you.
And when you're embarking on your therapy journey, it's really important that you vibe with your therapist and you relate to them well and you really like them. So BetterHelp offer the service where if you do not like the therapist you originally get matched up with, you can change as many times as you want for no additional cost until you're happy with your therapist.
You know, at Fan Your Feet, we are huge advocates for therapy. It's something we've both embarked on and we've got so many benefits. That's why we love to push you guys to go to therapy. And not only that, BetterHelp have all these benefits, but they're also way more affordable than your traditional offline counselling. And you can also get 10% off your first month of therapy through our link. So if you do want to get the 10% off, you can head to betterhelp.com/fanyourfeet. That is betterhelp.com/fanyourfeet.
So if you are ready to start living a happier life from today, head to our link, betterhelp.com/fanyourfeet to get 10% off your first month of online therapy with BetterHelp.
Yeah, and going back to the imposter syndrome, we saw this amazing thing from James Clear the other day from his newsletter, and I feel like it just landed for so many people.
Yeah, I absolutely love this quote.
Yeah.
Slapped.
It says, don't feel qualified, nobody does. You can only be qualified to do that which you have already accomplished or trained for. Anything new is accomplished by unqualified people. Which when you read that, you think, oh, that makes so much sense.
Yeah, and I actually just think that qualifications sometimes are just like a little, obviously it's dependent on the industry you're in, but like you can't really become a doctor without qualifications. And to be honest, I wouldn't want to see a doctor that didn't have qualifications. So obviously it depends what industry you're talking about. But in this case, we're talking about fashion, but creative industries in general and like loads of other industries. I do just think that sometimes like you can be trying to like get all these qualifications through, or even like with starting a business, you might try and do like all the courses in the world to learn everything before you actually start, when actually you just need to start and just do it. And like, for me, with university as well, like in the UK, it's really expensive to go there now. Like you'll come out with about £40,000 of debt. And I think people go into it with the mindset that then they're like never going to have to pay it off or something or whatever, because you obviously pay it off over a long period of time. But at the end of the day, like you are still taking on that debt, and it's much higher than what it was even like a few years ago, because it went up, like the tuition fees tripled in price from even what they were like 5-6 years or 7 years ago, I don't know. But it is a very expensive investment now, but it isn't always that essential. Like for me, I went to the Fashion Retail Academy in London, which is the same college, fashion college, that Molly Mae studied at. And the design of that college is that the courses are short and compact and very relevant to the industry, work really closely with all like the businesses in that industry to make sure the content is what like the people who are going to employ you actually need you to know. You go there and then you get in basically sooner than you would had you gone to study at university. So I think a lot of people like are saying, oh my god, she's not got a degree, oh my god, she's only 22. It's also because she just skipped that part. Like she again went down a non-conventional route, but that non-conventional route still leads to success. Like that's what I did as well. And I got a job in the industry really, really young, and started working in like the head office, doing a job that normally maybe 5 years before that you think you would need to have a degree for, but you don't. So it's just the new world that we're in. And if you're thinking, oh my God, like, do I go to university, or I don't really want to go, but I feel like I have to, like, you don't. Like, obviously, I'm not saying university is not valuable. And like, obviously, there's such life experiences you get from there. People make like their best friends and stuff there. Like there is so many pros to it. But if you don't feel like it's that aligned with you, and like, you don't really feel like, you want to make that investment or whatever, or you in some way you're feeling like you're limiting yourself by thinking, oh, but I don't have a degree. There is so many other ways out there to like really make it in the world without that. Like things are changing a lot.
Yeah, for sure. You can build your skills in so many different ways. And I think even just like having the integrity to push yourself and like learn on your own dependence, like, like different books. It's not so much that you have to have a degree and go and sit there. It's like, what are you doing as a person to improve yourself? And I think even like going back to the whole jealousy and bitterness and envy, I think working on yourself as a person will help you realize that you being jealous of Molly Mae landing a position is not going to help you get a job anywhere.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I genuinely think like this whole like bitterness, like that genuinely gets you absolutely nowhere. Like, but being happy for someone and thinking, wow, how has she achieved that? How can that inspire me? That is really going to help push you forward. And that you will never learn like doing a degree. Do you know what I mean? So I really feel like working on yourself.
Yeah, self-developing, like having that like growth mindset and developing a really strong mindset and will get you really, really far. But also there's been like a survey done like across the whole world reviewing how many women are actually in like senior management and director positions, and there's only 29% of all the senior management director positions in the whole world are held by women. Only 29%. So that is still like a lot less than how many is obviously held by men. The majority is held by men. And we want more women obviously in those higher positions. And obviously it is improving. The situation is improving a lot. But I just think Molly taking that position and being a girl of such a young age just shows that, like, for somebody younger, like maybe that's 13 or whatever, to look up and follows her on Instagram, to look up to her and see that she's done that. Like that is whatever you're like looking up to when you're growing up and seeing people doing, it's very subconsciously feeding into you what is actually possible for you. And that is like such a positive thing for the younger girls under her that like maybe haven't made their decisions yet about what they want to do for their careers and stuff, to look up and see like that she's doing that and subconsciously think, well, why couldn't I hold a high position in a company like at some point in my life? And so I think it's amazing in that sense. So we shouldn't really be bashing her for taking this job. But also, like, in just for the fashion industry, like the industry is run by women are the ones on the ground, like doing all the work day in day out, like everything. But most of the high level positions are still held by men, even though like it's such a women driven industry. A lot of the director positions are still held by men. So I actually think it's amazing that she's up there and is holding one of those positions, and we need more women going up there and holding those higher positions. And she just shows people like what is possible, because like we said, she's defied all the odds. No degree, she's super young, she hasn't actually had any experience working in a fashion retailer head office for a long period of time, yet she's gone and got that job offer, like out of her own, creating her own path and fully backing herself. And there's no reason why anybody else that's like in the world can't do that. Yeah, sure, we're not all going to want to become like creative directors of fashion brands. It's just an example, but you can go and do whatever career you want. If you believe in yourself, you back yourself and think outside the box, so many things can happen. So don't sit back there and think, oh my God, like this is the path, this is the trajectory that everybody else does and is the typical way. You never know how life might come along and like surprise you. And if you just really believe that you are going to be successful and that you're worthy of success and you work for it, you self-develop, you work on your mindset, you nurture your skills, then there's no reason why you can't be a really high achiever as well.
Yeah, for sure. Like I did proper think that as well. Like if that was one of the guys, maybe out of Love Island, like one of the really popular ones, like I really feel like maybe there would have been the odd person, but I really feel like there would have been such less backlash.
Yeah, 100%. Like if she was a man, far less people would be saying things.
Yeah, I think it like goes back to that thing as well that like women were like taught to like pin ourselves against each other, and we're taught to be jealous. Like that is literally like, as we're growing up, you see like in the tabloids, like all these horrible messages. You see us being like pinned against each other, and it becomes like a very natural, instinctual thing.
Yeah, but, to like compete. And
but we don't need to. No. We don't need to compete anymore. We're not competing for survival anymore. So you have to like keep reminding yourself, like, is that actually benefiting me? Like all this energy that I'm using towards this situation, is that actually benefiting me at all? I think, as well. So it's like almost like people were mad at her getting that position, as if it takes something away from them, as if like
it takes nothing.
Yeah, exactly. It actually takes nothing at all. You can just use it to inspire you. There's still so many jobs in the world. Like, she's taken one position and there's an abundance of jobs. So if you want to like go after your certain career, you should never let one person, like the frequency of that, I think, oh my God, it's so unfair. Like, a lot of industries are very unfair. You just got to go after what you want.
Yeah, and actually like having her there doing this in the completely like non-conventional way just even more bashes down that like corporate ladder and the blueprint and the boxes that you think you need to tick to get somewhere. So yeah, just keep an open mind. But being envious of someone literally gets you nowhere. But like being envious and like jealous of someone is very normal. Like it is very, very normal. Feelings to have, but it's about what you do with that. And one thing we always preach is to turn your envy into inspiration. So whatever you're envious of is because you relate to that person on some level that otherwise you wouldn't be envious of them. Like I'm not envious of footballers because I don't want to be a footballer. Things like you're only going to get those emotions evoked within you if you relate on some level. And obviously where she is an influencer, it means that you feel kind of like connected to her and close to her. Like she does vlogs, all that stuff. That's the nature of like influencers. You feel like you know them because you get let into their life, so you feel like relate to them. They're very relatable. So that's why then when she's gone and got this like big job, you're like, oh my God, because you feel like she's on your same level, which she is. She's just a person. She's just a human like everybody is. We're all just the same. At the end of the day, we're the same humans with the same insecurities, fears, and everything. Like no one's a superhuman. But any feelings you have of envy from whoever you're looking at in whatever areas of your life, whether it's like relationships, friendships, not just work stuff, it's because on some level you relate to that person and that thing that they have because you want it. It's part of your path. It's part of your purpose, your passion. It's something that is available to you and you can have. Otherwise, you wouldn't feel envious of it because if you just wouldn't feel that way about something you didn't actually want. So it's like a really good indication of like, maybe deep down in your subconscious or in your heart or whatever, it's something that you actually want, but you're not really letting yourself like have or recognize that you want. And that's why it's so it's an opportunity in itself to like see, seeing someone like that might make you feel envious of them. Maybe you've never even considered that could be you before, that you could maybe have a job in a creative industry that you love or hold like a high position in your career. Like, so it can be an insight into what you actually want, but also it's if you already know that you want something and you see someone else having it and you feel envious, they are literally just showing you what's possible. See to believe that our minds like just love seeing things in real life and believe in them. Like we struggle to like believe in ourselves before we build up evidence to have that belief and all that stuff. So you've got to turn that envy into inspiration and look at these people that have got what you want and just be like, wow, they're triggering something in me, but it's because I want that too. And they're showing me that is possible, and just turn that all into inspiration and just let them like, be the trailblazers that are leading the way and like showing you what is literally possible. Like it's like the 4 minute mile. Like no one thought that was possible until it was done. And then one person did it and then loads of other people did it. But then before that, no humans ever did it because no one thought it was possible. Seeing to believe. So, turn that envy into inspiration because it could be you.
Yeah, exactly. I think reframing envy is probably like one of the most powerful things you can do.
Yeah.
And I think as well, like if you do notice you're triggered by like someone or something, you think, oh, I'm a bit envious, a bit jealous, and you can't figure out what it is, you can always like come back to it. Like I've done that before where I felt like slightly envious of something. I'm like, why would I even feel envious of that? But I feel like in those moments, you just need to tune deeper into your intuition and think, what is it that they have that I could possibly want? And even if you can't figure it out in that moment, come back to it. It might just be a part of their lifestyle. It might be something they've achieved. Or even if you are like jealous, say for example, this whole degree thing, you can just come back. Is that like triggering you? Do you not feel confident because you don't have a degree? Like, like stuff like that. Like, why is that triggering you? You can always come back to it and use it as a reflection.
Yeah, exactly. So there's lots of opportunity in feeling envious of people.
We love taking
and
situations.
turning them into a big fat positive.
Yeah. Looking at all the opportunities.
Yeah, so the conclusion of Molly Mae getting this job is 1, well done, girl. 2, let's all be inspired because she's breaking down walls, rules, old structures, and she's representing the new world that we are all part of as well, and just showing how much there is these new opportunities out there to be had if you are just thinking outside the box and like backing yourself and like following those little pings that you get to, you know, nurture your creativity, do what you love, because you never ever know what they can turn into. And we are also living proof of that as well, because we are sat here right now in our new bougie podcast studio that had you told us we would be in when we started this podcast in April 2020, we wouldn't have believed you, because we didn't expect anything to come from it. We were just following our passion, our creativity, and just did it for a hobby, and just didn't even think anything into it, just thought, let's go for it. And like, we're an example here as well of what can actually come from you, like following what you love. And I know that people love to slag that off, you know, about following your passions and stuff, but it's important. Like, you need to, in some way, I'm not being like unrealistic either. I know that people like have like jobs, and maybe they have like jobs that they just need, that just pay their bills, but there's ways to nurture like little bits, little passions of yours into your life, not just through your work, but in other ways, because this podcast is now our job. It didn't used to be our job. It started as a hobby outside of our actual jobs and just turned into this. So, you know, and Molly is an example of that. So we should all be inspired and keep a really open mind if you are like really stuck in your career and you don't really know what to do. I think as well, like, your career will up and change, and like, you know, you'll go through unexpected things. But I think if you're following what lights you up, what you love, and believing in yourself and nurturing your creativity and all these little things that you love to do, and, you know, putting them out online or whatever it is that you want to do, if you're doing that in some way, it is going to lead to you feeling incredibly fulfilled and stumbling upon opportunities that you never thought were possible before. Because in the old world, there was no internet, and you did have to work up your way up a company for years and years and years to get to these high positions. And, you know, not everyone's going to want to be a director either, and that's fine. But we can all be inspired about this and just see how, when you literally just do a little bit of what you love every day, don't think about too much, you never know where things can end up. Believe in yourself as well.
Yeah, that's so true. Like, if you had said to me, especially in uni as well, like if you had said to me in uni one day, in like 2 years or something, you'd be sat in a podcast studio, I probably would have thought you were absolutely nuts.
Yeah.
But it takes like that belief in yourself to just think, well, actually, it doesn't matter that I studied fashion at uni. Like, I actually just want to do this podcast right now. Like, actually, to believe in yourself. And I think as well, it is good that this kind of thing about Molly Mae's coming back, because I like how everyone has had the opportunity to speak the truth. Like, I feel like everyone should always have that. And also remind themselves that they can change their minds in a way, because like some people that might be listening to this,
yeah, they might think, fair play, I'm gonna change my mind now. Turn my envy into inspiration.
Or like they might have thought that we might have had different views on it and stuff like that. So having the ability to speak your truth, speak what you think, and then also having the integrity to actually think, I'm just going to change my mind, and use it as inspiration, as we say.
You're so allowed to change your mind. And stay out of all the boxes and carve your own path in life, because this is your unique life. Career is a big part of your life, and you want to make sure you are doing something that you love, that is fulfilling, because you have to spend so much of your day on it. So even if you're in a job right now that you don't feel fulfilled by, doesn't matter. You can start, you know, to do little hobbies that are going to nurture that creativity in you, that love of whatever it is that you have. Make time for that, because you never know what it can spiral out into.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like taking those little steps each day. Don't overwhelm yourself too much.
Yeah, just small little, you know. I'm sure Molly Mae did not think, okay, I'm going to put out this first ever YouTube video when she was, I don't know, like 17, whenever she started doing it. This first YouTube video, because I'm going to do this every week, and it's going to make me the creative director of Pretty Little Thing by the time I'm 22. She never would have thought that. Like,
she would have had a breakdown.
Literally, you're just doing it from like a place of love and passion, and that is just really, really important to nurture within yourself, because it's such a big part of feeling happy and fulfilled and enjoying life, is nurturing those little passions.
For sure. So to end this episode, instead of having a quote of the week, we're actually going to share with you 2 affirmations of our career and self-belief affirmation. So the first one is, success comes to me effortlessly. My opportunities are endless. And the second one is, I lean into the highest vision for my life and know that it is possible. So I want you to really let those land, repeat them back to yourself.
Yeah. So if you want to access the full playlist where these 2 affirmations came from, you can head to our website, findingyourfeetpodcast.com. The link is in the show notes, and you can shop the career and self-belief digital affirmation playlist. So it's 15 minutes of, they're just 2 of many affirmations on there, all centered around believe in yourself, career, passion, focus, really motivating. And yeah, you just play it and it's got relaxing music behind it. You set it as like your alarm tone to wake you up in the morning. We've had people buy them on the day of job interviews and play them before they go into the interview to like hype themselves up, and they've gone in and felt so much more confident. Like they just really help you get your subconscious mind into that really like focused, positive, motivated state, really believing in yourself by reciting those affirmations, making you feel really powerful. So they are $3.99 per playlist. We've got a whole range of them on there, but the career one is our best-selling one. So we've linked it in the show notes if you would like to access the full playlist.
Yeah, $3.99, and then you can keep it forever and just play it like each morning. I love affirmations in the morning because I feel like they just align you, especially if you've got something like an interview.
Yeah, you need to feel confident, like just align you for the day.
Because those negative thoughts as well can get really loud.
Oh yeah, your inner critic, it just goes wild, especially when you're about to jump into something like big, like an interview or anything like where you're stepping outside your comfort zone, you're taking like a step that's going to make you go to that next level on your journey of where you want to go. That's when your inner critic becomes the loudest, when you really starting to step out there and do the next big thing. So yeah, links in the show notes to access that. But if you would like to keep in touch with us and stay connected with us outside of just this podcast every Wednesday, come and join our community on Instagram at Finding Your Feet Podcast. We also have a YouTube channel where we upload all of our episodes on there, so you can subscribe. The link is in the show notes. And if you would like to join our weekly mailing list where we send you an email every Monday morning to inspire you and start your week off right, you can subscribe also in the show notes.
Thank you so much for listening, everyone, and we'll see you next time.
See you next Wednesday. Bye.